I believe both of them were set for 321, but we was going to do a preliminary examination on the second degree murder, and it was going to do a PCC on the
Yeah, I
first
think that's
degree.
right, I remember that.
Yeah.
We're doing both on the same thing.
Yes,
PCC
exactly.
and homicide.
Right.
Johnson. I didn't think that. So, right up there.
Yes.
Calling case number 2305-549101 before the state of Michigan versus Darnell White Jr. Defendant is charged in count 1, homicide, murder, first degree premeditated. Count 2, assault with intent to murder. Counts 3 and 4, weapons, felony, firearm.
Appearances for the record, please.
Good morning to your honor and to your staff. This is Brian Johnson for the people, P84143.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. May it please this honorable court, Cena Colbert Gray appearing via Zoom on behalf of Mr. White, of no relation to me, Your Honor.
And good morning, Your Honor. May it please this honorable court, Antonio D. Tuggles, on behalf of my client, Mr. Darnell White, who is not related to Seymour White.
Okay. All right, so this matter is scheduled for 1:30 today. Why are we here now?
We're here now, Your Honor, because I'm in a continuous capital case trial in front of Judge Blunt at the Judicial Circuit Court. This matter should have been resolved maybe Monday and Tuesday, but it did not. And yesterday, I could not do any of it because I was in federal court in Indianapolis, Indiana. So he adjourned it to this afternoon, start at 1 o'clock. So it's a trial in progress. It is a two-defendant case.
So did you tell him that you couldn't do that date because you had something already scheduled?
Yes, I told him I couldn't do which date.
Judge Blount set it for today at 1 o'clock.
Oh, he wasn't hearing anything. He wanted to finish it yesterday, but because I had to physically be somewhere, in federal court, he said, okay, we'll do 1 o'clock, clear your calendar. We'll do 1 o'clock on Thursday. That's today. So that's why I'm in here early in the morning to try to deal with that. And another case with that.
March 23rd at 1:30.
Judge, just for the record, I've got a jury trial starting in Judge Van Houten's courtroom with about 5 attorneys: Lisa Lindsay, Lillian Diallo, Gabi Silver, Wright Blake. It may settle. We've been trying to settle it, but it's scheduled to start on the 20th, Judge. If it settles, I'll be available on the 23rd. The circuit court judge has indicated that she is not going on Fridays. So I know for certain that I will be available on Friday, March 24th, if this court is available, whether that case pleads or not.
Problem is, I don't do homicides on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I have to do Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay, I have a preliminary examination on the current board. That's an in-person preliminary examination on the 23rd. It starts at 2 o'clock.
And just so you know, the people intend to call 10 witnesses in this particular case. So when scheduling, you may want to have that information, Judge, as well as a 404B motion that has been filed by the people that needs to be litigated on this particular case before the exam begins, because many of his witnesses are 404B witnesses, Judge, and we will object to that.
Exactly, and I understand that Your Honor just say, you do homicides afternoon Thursdays. My 30th afternoon is, free. When I say 30, I mean March 3rd.
I'm thinking worst case scenario that Ms. Gray may still be in trial.
What about the 28th, Your Honor?
That's even closer
That's
to
closer to
the trial.
Oh, okay.
I do have the afternoon the 28th available.
Judge, I'll make the 28th work.
All right, March 28th at 1:30. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't do 1:30. I got a 1:30 already. Sorry.
Just so the board can be aware, I'm out of state on April 6th, Wednesday, Thursdays. However, on April 4th afternoon,
And I'm in a jury trial starting the 3rd of April.
I have a jury trial starting, I'm looking forward. I have a jury trial, second degree murder on April 10th. And unless that judge, I can explain to that judge that I need the afternoon, to keep this matter rolling. And I will do that obviously earlier the time.
What's that case that I have?
Cats.
Okay, let's do March 28th at 1:30. Try to move the other cases up.
Just so the court can be aware, I'm scheduled to start. I don't think this case is going to go. It's in Oakland County with Mr. Hall to set up the trial. I don't think he's going to go. That's going to go. The reason we're not going to go, we're just going to take some type of plea.
March 28th at 1:30.
Thank you, Judge. I'll be ready to proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Does that conclude this matter?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The Madam Prosecutor, it should be on.
Ms. Manoma?
Yes.
She's here.
regarding Mr. Hicks.
Okay.
So this is the things on this other case has a coding attorney.
That would be on the first degree. That would be the case that was set for PCC 1 and 21st.
So he has a homicide set up to first as well, right? You want to address that?
Yes, that's what, yeah, homicide premeditated.
There's no coding on the homicide?
Yes, there should be a code deal on the homicide first degree. Is that accurate, Ms. Bonomo? Did she hear us?
Ms. Bonomo,
Yes, Your Honor.
is there a co-defendant on the homicide case you're here on?
No, Your Honor, not for the second degree.
Not for the second, but on the first degree, there is.
That's
Yes,
correct.
2 cases.
All right, so you need to, the first degree is the one that's up for probable cause conference.
Yes,
So what's the issue with the second?
Madam Prosecutor called me, and she could better explain.
Okay, let me call the case.
Calling case number 2305-569601. People of the state of Michigan versus Cortez Hicks. Defendant is charged in count 1, homicide, murder, second degree. Count 2, operating while intoxicated causing death. Count 3, reckless driving causing death. Count 4, operating while intoxicated causing serious injury. Count 5, operating while intoxicated causing serious injury. Count 6, operating while intoxicated causing serious injury. Count 7, reckless driving causing serious impairment of body function. Count 8, reckless driving causing serious impairment of body function. Count 9, reckless driving causing serious impairment of the body function. Defendant has a felony commission with the whole bill for adult advisory.
Appearances for the record, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Sarah Bonomo on behalf of the people, P84189.
Good morning, Your Honor. May I please, this honorable court, Antonio D. Tuckers, on behalf of my client, that's Mr. Cortez Hicks, who is physically not present in this court this morning. I asked the court to waive his physical presence as well. Mr. Hicks is not present virtually. I asked the court as well to waive this virtual appearance for this impromptu.
Court will waive the defendant's presence. What's going on? Why are we here?
Your Honor, I'm respectfully requesting an adjournment for the exam set for Tuesday, March 21st. I received information after providing subpoenas to my officer in charge. I first received information that I need to locate an interpreter for my witnesses. I also received information that 2 of my witnesses, because of the injuries that they received in this case, are not able to testify at the exam. So I'm in the process of receiving their medical records. I also received information that I would need to get a doctor to testify to the blood serum conversion. So I'm in the process of doing that as well. My office reached out to Mr. Tuttles yesterday to see if he would have an issue. He stated he would not if I requested an adjournment. So, Your Honor, with that, I'm respectfully requesting an adjournment.
Okay, I'm not exactly understanding the whole issue with the interpreter. What language are we talking about?
Bengali.
That shouldn't be too difficult to secure.
Okay.
So that's one. The other was,
I subpoenaed 2 of the witnesses, but because of the injuries that they had, one's still in the ICU. One individual just got out yesterday. I spoke with a family member. He stated that he would not be able to testify. He wouldn't be in a condition to testify on Tuesday. So my thought process was to subpoena the medical records and have those for the exam.
how long is that going to take?
I do not know at this time. I was going to send subpoenas today to Madam Clerk and contact the hospital to try to see if I can get it as soon as possible, but I don't know.
So you're going to send the subpoenas to my clerk?
That was my thought process of how to move forward, is to have request for the court to sign a subpoena for the medical records and then go from there.
The other complaining witness is still in ICU. Have
Yes.
any timetable as to how long this witness may be hospitalized?
I do not, Your Honor. So I would be requesting their medical records as well.
I don't anticipate the individual that's in the critical condition or in the ICU to testify at the exam. The individual that I got out yesterday, maybe if I get an adjournment, maybe I wouldn't need his medical records, but to be on the safe side, I would just get the medical records.
How many witnesses are you calling?
Your Honor, I believe it would be about 5. Depending on if I have the medical records, it would be less.
Did you say you were available on the 30th, Mr. Tubbs?
Yes,
March 30th at 11:30?
That works for the people, Your Honor.
okay. At 9:30, I need to be in Macomb County, and that is, a pre-trial, one driving while intoxicated causing serious bodily injury. Is it possible to do it 1:30? No,
At 1:30 already. So
okay, that's like 9:30. We do 11:30,
11:30, yes.
11:30.
Make that work?
Not gonna have an option. I mean, I know I have to be, that's gonna be a heavy issue to deal with in Macomb County, this crime. That's why I asked for 1:30, but you said you cannot do 1:30. So I'm trying to, put a reasonable amount of time in between 9:30, deal with that and keep it promptly by 11. And I don't want to say 12 o'clock because I know the staff needs a break, then you go into 1:30.
About April 4th. Anytime of day.
1:30.
1:30 on April 4th, that's written in stone, so please don't schedule anything else at the same time. Unless some judge bully you to doing something at 1 o'clock or 1:30.
Now, do you think the judge would bully you?
Yeah, Judge Bond did.
I get bullied all the time by judges. I don't get judges like this. But, let's see. So 1:30 on April 4th, and that is on, Mr. Hicks' question. That's on Mr. Hicks' second degree?
That's the one that you appeared on, right? Mr. Nomo?
Yes, Your Honor, this is for the second degree.
All
with-
right.
And Your Honor, if I may, the PCC is still set for next week on Tuesday for the first degree. We set that for 11:30 because we're going to have that exam. Do we want to keep that date for 11:30 or would it go back to 8:30? Because we don't have the exam any longer.
We can do it at 8:30.
Well, that's the PCC. It's scheduled for the
So I have all the
21st.
parties here, we can set a date, and hopefully I can set it for that April 4th date as well.
So now we're doing Mr. Hicks at 8:30, correct?
Right.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Tuttles.
You're more than welcome. And, sorry, I lost my. You have been.
Ma'am, on the Galaxy S8, unmute yourself.
Good
Yes,
morning.
ma'am. Can I help you?
Yes, I was there for the case of Darnell White.
That case just got adjourned, ma'am.
Okay, to what date, please?
Mr. White for preliminary examination, March 28th at 1:30.
Okay, thank you so much.
It's at 1:30. When you come though, ma'am, you have to view this on YouTube where it's being live streamed, not on Zoom.
Oh, okay. So you said March 28th?
At 1:30.
Okay, thank you.
So I need to get a chance to do the number.
Thank you for your time and accommodating schedule.
All right, sir. Have a good day.
Okay, you as well.
Ms. Dornan.
Good morning, Judge.
For you.
I have Ms. Heed. I don't know, it looks like John Holler is her defense attorney.
Yeah, okay, I haven't seen Mr. Holler yet. It's gonna be a nice day. One case left, 19 two. Restart. Morning, Mr. Holly.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Your client, Ms. Heed, is here. Just waiting on my court reporter to get back.
Okay.
Everybody.
Calling case number 2305-585401. For the state of Michigan versus Brianna Key, defendant charged in count 1, assault with intent to do great bodily harm, less than murder or by strangulation. Count 2, assault with a dangerous weapon.
Appearances for the record, please.
And good morning, Your Honor. Elizabeth Dornick appearing on behalf of the people, P79420.
Morning, Your Honor. John J. Holler appearing on behalf of Ms. Brianna Heed. My bar number is 43344. Ms. Heed has joined us by Zoom.
Ms. Heed, unmute yourself and tell us your name.
Brianna Heed.
What's your pleasure, counsel?
Well, Your Honor, we'd like to set this matter for a preliminary examination. I think that the date that was tentatively given at the arraignment was the 22nd, but I won't be available on that day.
Are you available on the 24th?
No, I'm not. Well, I actually, no, I guess I'm not.
No time of day on the 22nd or the 24th?
Well, here's the thing. I've got a pretrial and a misdemeanor also in your courthouse, but they want to do those, I think, strictly by Zoom. Why don't we go ahead and set it for the 24th, and I'll just deal with that one way or the other. That seems like something I should be able to deal with.
Okay, how about the 24th at 10:30?
That sounds great. We'll do that.
Ms. Heed, that's going to be in person in 36th District Court on March 24th at 10:30.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. You're all set, Ms. Heed.
I can leave now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Did you need anything else, Ms. Dornick?
No, I don't. Thank you. I'm going to log off.
All right, Mr. Howard, did you need anything else?
No, I'm all set. We'll see you on the
Okay.
24th, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
There are two witnesses and the prosecutor.
Judge, on the last case was he, we gave her the 24th.
March 24th.
Oh, that's a problem.
sorry. Somebody.
We have an attorney ready?
No, sir, Mr. Cripps had, Mr. Cripps is not here.
Good morning, Mr. Cripps. Good morning, Mr. Cripps.
He stepped out.
Oh, I'm looking at him on the screen.
Yeah.
Delayed. Morning, Mr. Cripps.
Good. Good.
How are you? Good. How are you guys? Ready, Jim?
I think he's just on the phone, Judge. Just so you know, Detective Johnson, who's the OIC, is running a couple minutes behind, but I have two other witnesses, so I'm hoping by the time I'm done, she's here. But I think we're good to go.
I've done this exam before.
I put it on, Judge. But it'll be a little bit different.
All set, Mr. Cripps?
Ready, Your Honor.
Calling case 2257675, Court State of Michigan versus defendant number one, Deontay James Harper. Defendant is charged in count one, homicide, murder, first degree premeditated. Count two, fourth degree arson. Count three, tampering with evidence, criminal case punishable by more than 10 years. Count four, police officer, claiming third degree murder. Defendant has an official offender, third offense notice. Appearances for the record.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is James Kehoe, and my P number is 82812 on behalf of the people.
And good morning, Judge David Cripps, P34972, appearing on behalf of my client, Mr. Deontay Harper. Tell the judge your complete name, please, sir.
Your Honor, James Harper.
The defense is ready to proceed. We make a standard motion to the court.
Ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land, if you are a witness or potential witness, I'm ordering you to log off at this time. Mr. Kehoe, you mentioned that your officer in charge of the case is on his way.
On her way, Judge. It's going to be Detective Lisa Johnson.
Lisa Johnson, do you have any objection to the OIC remaining, Mr. Cripps?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. You have any preliminary matters, Mr. Kehoe?
A few, Your Honor, if I may.
Yes.
First, Your Honor, I spoke to Mr. Cripps yesterday, and I believe there's no objection for purposes of preliminary examination only. The admission of what has been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 1, which is the medical examiner's report in this case, as well as the identification of the deceased, Ms. Soraya Lee, and spelling for the record is S-Y-R-A-Y-A.
Excuse me, hold on, just a moment, okay?
That's right.
Okay, I'm sorry for the interruption, Mr. Kehoe. Please proceed.
Not a problem, Your Honor. So, at this time, I would move for that admission of proposed exhibit 1, Your Honor, as well as just make sure I got that identification stipulation correct from Mr. Cripps for purposes of exam only.
Judge, for exam purposes only, the defense is prepared to enter into an agreement with the prosecutor's office against the admission of proposed exhibit 1, which is a medical examiner report. And we're prepared to also stipulate to the identity of the deceased in this case, it's Soraya Lee.
All right, the court will admit the autopsy report as well as receive the stipulation as to the identification of the plaintiff was emergency.
Thank you. And Your Honor, I'll publish that in a moment. But then turning to People's Proposed Exhibit 2, Your Honor, I move for the admission of that. That's going to be the arson investigation report. I would move for that submission under MCL 766.11 Delta. D is in Delta.
Any objection, Mr. Cripps?
For exam purposes only, we're prepared to agree to the entry of the proposed exhibit 2.
Admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And then lastly, Your Honor, I would be moving for the admission of proposed exhibit number 3. Your Honor, this is going to the valuation as required for count 2 of the motor vehicle that was alleged to have been burned as part of this case, Judge. And I would move for that under Michigan Rule of Evidence 11018, which goes to the value of property can't be proven by hearsay at the time of an examination.
For exam purposes only, we're not objecting to admission of proposed number 3.
Admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And with that, may I publish copies of exhibits 1, 2, and 3 to the court?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm approaching with admitted exhibits 1, 2, and 3. May I just read a portion of exhibit 1 into the record, please?
Yes.
This is the report of the Office of the Wayne County Medical Examiner, post-mortem report, ME case number 22-7400. That is dated on May 16th, 2022, performed on Soraya Maria Lee, again, Syraya. Lee is Lee. This was performed by Dr. Lokman Sung, Assistant Medical Examiner. It is my opinion that death was caused by strangulation. It was reported that the deceased was discovered in the trunk of a burning vehicle after it was extinguished. Externally, there was an abrasion on the right and left sides of the neck, and the bilinear abrasion was near the right angle of the jaw. The face was flushed, and there was bleeding into the sclera of both eyes. Internally, there was bleeding in the muscles of the neck. These changes represent findings seen with strangulation. In strangulation, the jugular veins and/or carotid arteries within the neck are compressed. The compression of the jugular veins prevents egress of blood from the head and face, while the vertebral arteries, which are not compressed, continue to deliver blood into the head. This results in flushing of the face and bleeding into the eyes. Additionally, abrasions were around the nose and mouth with bruising of the inner surfaces of the lips, which may represent a component of smothering. Additionally, there were abrasions and bruises on the external face and bleeding into the scalp and left temporalis muscle, representing blunt force impacts to the head. Post-mortem burns were on the right face, neck, and buttock, and did not contribute to the death. The manner of death is homicide, and that was signed by Dr. Lokman Sung on May 19th, 2022. Your Honor, I believe that all the preliminary matters for the people at this time. So with that, the people are prepared to call at this time Officer Lakia Gray, that's Lakey, Gray, Gray.
How many witnesses will you be calling?
3, Your Honor, and no more than 5, but I think 3 is almost safe.
Please step forward, give your name and the spelling of your name to the court reporter to you. Right? Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Okay.
Thank you. Please have a seat with this box next to me. Voice up, nice and loud, and speak into that microphone instead of to your left, okay?
Thank you. Officer Gray, could you just state your name again for the record, please?
Lakia Gray,
And, Officer Gray, where do you work?
at the 5th precinct with Detroit Police Department,
How long have you worked for the Detroit Police Department?
2 years,
And in what capacity, or what unit are you assigned to at the 5th precinct?
patrol,
And were you working as a patrol officer back on May 5th, or March 14th of 2022?
yes,
I'm apologizing, it's May 15th of 2022, I'll make sure I have
yes, sir.
that. Okay, and, were you, called to a run that day?
Yes, sir.
Where were you called to?
I was called to, Lake Point,
And, what side of the city is that on?
sorry,
What side of the city is, Lakewood on?
on the east side of the city,
And, silly question, but is that in the city of Detroit?
yes,
Okay, and when you, went to Lake Point, where did you go?
I went to 5240 Lake Point.
And what's, at that address?
Fire engine as well as a sports car.
Okay. And, when you first arrived, well, before you arrived at the location, were you partnered with anyone that day?
Yes, sir.
Who was that?
Ethan Eisenman.
Okay. How did you get there?
Sir?
For the record, we have the spelling of the last name.
For Eisenman?
For the court,
I apologize. And thank you, Mr. Chris. That's EISENNMANN. Officer Gray, I know it's a silly question, but how did you arrive to the Lake Point address?
In a fully marked scout car,
Okay, who was driving?
Officer Adjournment.
Okay, and where were you positioned?
Sorry,
Where were you positioned?
I was in the passenger seat, the jumpman.
And when you arrived to the Lake Point address, what did you do?
We spoke with the fire department. They said that they had located a body in the trunk.
Yeah, that's very good. What observations did you make when you went to the Lake Point address, or Officer Gray?
When we went to the trunk of the vehicle, I observed what appeared to be a woman wrapped in a carpet with a bag over her head.
And what kind of vehicle was this?
The Ford Fusion.
What was the condition of that Ford Fusion?
Vehicle was pretty torched on the interior. It was making its way on the exterior by the time the fire caught it.
Okay, and would you recognize photographs from that scene back on May 15th, 2022, if I showed them to you?
Yes, sir.
You're going to be showing the opposing counsel what is previously marked as People's Exhibit 4 through 7.
Okay.
I mean, approach it the same.
Okay.
Officer Gray, I want to start with People's Proposed Exhibit number 4, which should be on top. What is that, Officer Gray?
This is a abandoned home. This is the location where the vehicle was found.
Okay, and does that photograph fairly and accurately depict the scene as it was back on May 15th, 2022?
Yes, sir.
Other than the exhibit stamp on the bottom of the page, have there been any changes or alterations to that photograph?
No, sir.
Okay, and moving to pleasure, proposed exhibit number 5, please, Officer. What is proposed exhibit number 5?
This is a vehicle my partner and I located with Ms. Lee in the back of it.
Yeah. Does that exhibit number 5 fairly and accurately depicts the scene of the vehicle as it was on May 15th, 2022?
Yes, sir.
And again, other than the exhibit sticker on the bottom there, Officer Gray, have there been any changes or alterations to that exhibit?
No, sir.
And exhibit number 6, please, Officer Gray. What is depicted in exhibit number 6, please?
Hit the body of Mrs. Lee. And it's fine.
Okay. And again, does that fairly and accurately depict the scene as it was back on May 15th, 2022?
Yes, sir.
Have there been any changes or alterations to this photograph, Officer Gray?
No, sir.
And lastly, Officer Gray, can we turn to proposed exhibit number 7, please? What is proposed exhibit number 7?
And a picture of the Ford vehicle.
And not to be a broken clock, Officer Gray, but does that fairly and accurately depicts the vehicle as it was on May 15th, 2022 when you observed it?
Yes, sir.
And again, have there been any changes or alterations to that depiction?
No, sir.
Thank you, Officer Gray. Your Honor, the people would move to admit proposed exhibits 4 through 7 at this time.
No objection, exam purposes only, Your Honor.
Admitted?
And may I publish, Your Honor?
Yes.
Take those from you, Officer Gray. Now, Officer Gray, apart from your response to this run on this case, did you take part in any of the investigation of this case?
Yes, sir.
And what was that?
We were investigating who the vehicle belonged to.
Okay, and did you determine who the owner of that vehicle was?
Yes, sir.
Who was that?
Soraya Lee, sir.
No foundation, Judge.
Oh, yeah, foundation, Judge.
Okay, go ahead.
How did you make that determination, Officer Gray?
I ran the plate through Lane Law Enforcement, or our law enforcement network.
And where was the plate when you observed it?
It's on the trunk of the vehicle.
Okay. And when you ran that through Lean, what was the response?
It popped up all of Mrs. Lee's information.
Okay. Thank you, Officer Gray. Your Honor, I believe I have no further questions for Officer Gray at this time.
Cross-examine.
Thank you, Andrew. Briefly. Good morning, Officer Gray.
Good morning.
As I understand your testimony back on that date of May 15, 2022, you and your partner arrived at the scene where you encountered that vehicle, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How did you know to go right where the location of the vehicle was?
Fire was waiting for it, sir. Fire in 52.
All right, so you received information.
Yes, sir.
And upon arriving there, you've already described what you saw, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And I see in your report that you prepared that you said you called the person who reported finding the vehicle.
Yes, sir.
And what did you say to that person?
He asked me what the circumstances were for the call.
And that person refused to have any involvement, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Can you redirect?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you, officer. You may step down. Just push it.
Your Honor, at this time, the people would call Officer Rachel Perkins to the stand. Oh, yes, sir.
Please step forward, give your name and spelling to the court reporter.
Officer Rachel Perkins, that RACHELPERKINS.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Please have a seat with this sponsor next to me. Voice up nice and loud and speak to that microphone. Let's do that. You might just start leaving that door open.
Yeah, it's very sticky.
Maybe getting you ready.
Thank you. Officer Perkins, could you again just state your name for the record, please?
Officer Rachel Perkins.
Thank you. I want to, well, first, where are you currently employed, Officer Perkins? For how long?
4 years.
Where are you assigned to?
Currently,
Yes, ma'am.
fugitive apprehension,
How long have you been with fugitive apprehension?
8 months.
Okay. And where were you assigned to prior to fugitive apprehension?
6 weeks.
Okay. Were you working as an officer with the 6th precinct back on May 17, 2022?
Yes.
Where were you assigned that day, officer? What unit were you assigned to within the 6th precinct?
Motor unit.
I didn't hear you.
6XB, traffic enforcement.
Speaking to that microphone, folks.
You know, Officer Perkins.
Yeah.
Back on May 17, 2022, did you receive a call as it pertains to this case?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Sorry, back on May 17, 2022, did you receive a call as it pertains to this matter?
Yes,
Where did you go after receiving that call?
I got a rental car and I went to Elmira Street.
Okay. And when you get to Elmira Street, what is the situation that's happening there?
The radio aired that there was a vehicle pursuit for a wanted homicide suspect.
Okay, when you got to Elmira, what did you observe?
I observed the vehicle in pursuit
traveling northbound and hit a rock, causing the vehicle to be disabled. And the suspect exited the vehicle on foot and take off northbound through a field.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit there, Officer Burry. What kind of vehicle did you observe that was doing?
Can I refer I believe it was a Jeep, but can I refer to my report, please?
Will that refresh your memory?
Yes,
And do you have a copy of the report up there with you?
I do.
Okay, please take a look and look at me when you're done. Refresh your memory?
I actually didn't put in my report, but I believe it was a Jeep.
Okay. And you, what was the Jeep doing when you first observed it?
It was traveling northbound.
Okay, did you see any other vehicles at that time?
No.
Okay, and when you see the Jeep, what do you?
As soon as I seen the Jeep, I was attempting to turn onto that street right there. And as soon as I was turning, this car sped in front of me and hit the rock right in front of me.
Okay. So after well, what kind of vehicle were you in first?
Marked patrol car.
Okay. And after the vehicle speeds up and hits that rock, what did you do?
I observed the driver exit the vehicle on foot, so I exited my vehicle on foot and got behind him.
Okay. And after you exit your vehicle, where do you go?
He went through first he went through the playground and then went through the field.
You say like, what kind of area was it?
It was a child's playground.
Okay. After going through the playground and then to the field? Was that yes?
Yeah.
Okay, where do you go next?
He was apprehended in the field, so he was just straddling in front of the field, and then as I was calling it out, someone, another officer was able to grab him at the end of the field.
It was a different officer that grabbed you?
Correct.
Okay. Did you know who this individual was that you were chasing after?
No.
Okay. You said another officer came and did the takedown? Was that yes?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Did you see where that officer came from?
Yeah.
Where did that officer come from?
He was coming southbound from the 6th precinct.
So when
He was traveling southbound on Fitzpatrick.
Okay. And which direction were you coming from when you first came up?
When I first approached, or when I was pursuing on foot?
When you first approached, I just want to make sure I've got my streets right.
Okay, so it's kind of like a big bubble.
Okay.
So it's actually like a big circle if you really think about it. It's all curved, but the precinct is right here, the 6th precinct. I was traveling, I got in my car and I traveled southbound on Plymouth. It's a field, so you can see straight through it. So as the unit pursuing in the vehicle was calling it out, I knew what streets were being called out because I work in the precinct, so I knew they were coming right there. So I came around the curve, and as I was coming around the curve to make that right-hand turn onto Elmira, the vehicle was coming up the street right in front of me.
Okay.
So at that point, we were going back to northbound.
So you're moving your hands. That would have been a right turn you made to go back.
Yeah.
You said that there was a call out from the unit pursuing vehicle?
Yes.
What kind of vehicle was that? Did you see that vehicle?
I believe it was a Jeep, yes.
No.
Did I see the scout car?
Yes.
At the time, no.
Okay. But at some point, did you see it?
Yes.
What kind of vehicle was it?
They were marked patrol cars.
Okay. And then, Officer Perkins, what's the speed limit over on Elmira Road?
25.
Thank you, Officer Perkins. Your Honor, I believe I have no further questions for this time.
Cross-examine.
Officer Perkins, good morning. Did you take anything into evidence in this case?
I told the vehicle driver.
Did you personally take anything other than the vehicle into evidence?
No, sir.
Did you do an inventory search of that vehicle?
No, sir.
Nothing.
So you say that what brought your attention to go to that location is that you heard another scout indicating they were pursuing the vehicle, is that right?
Correct.
As you approached that location, did you hear any sirens or anything?
Yes.
You did.
Yes.
Aside from your vehicle,
Yes.
when you saw the suspect vehicle appear at this location, can you describe how it was driving or the speed approximate?
I don't recall. It was greater than reasonable.
Greater than reasonable. You say hit a rock,
Correct.
lost control of the vehicle,
Correct.
did it come to a rest or hit anything?
It just went, they're big boulder rocks. He went up on the rock, the tire was still spinning. It was slanted like this.
Any questions based on my question?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Did you have your siren on at the time?
I don't recall.
Description.
At the time that vehicle cut in front of your vehicle, that's all you saw was that vehicle, is that correct?
Correct.
You didn't see any police car in physical pursuit of that car, or visual pursuit of that vehicle, is that correct?
Correct. I could hear the sirens, I could hear them on the radio, but I didn't visually see them. I focus was on a car that just hit them.
I understand. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, you may step down.
Your Honor, based on that, I would like to call just briefly Lieutenant Timothy Barr.
Good morning, sir. Please give your name and spelling to the court report.
Right here, sir.
Please raise your right hand. Swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. Witness box there. I'm good. I'm having problems with that door all the way. Maybe get me ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Lieutenant Barr, would you please just state your name for the record, sir?
Lieutenant Timothy Barr.
And thank you, sir. How long have you been with or where do you work? I apologize.
I was working for the Tactical Services Section when this incident occurred, and now I work for the 6th Precinct.
Okay. And how long were you with the Tactical Services section of the Detroit Police Department?
5 years.
Okay. And as part of the Tactical Services section, what were your duties?
Part of our duties were working with headquarters surveillance as fully marked units to serve as a takedown unit when they found suspects they were looking for.
Okay. And as part of your duties, did you receive a call back on May 17th of 2022?
I did.
Where was that, sir?
That was in the area of, I believe the street was Virgil near I-96.
Okay. And did you respond to that location?
I did.
What were your observations when you got there?
Well, I was updated before I got there. I was updated that I believe it was a black Jeep. And it was northbound on Southfield Freeway.
Okay.
And I got off the freeway onto West Chicago, and I caught up to it in West Chicago.
So when you caught up to the black Jeep, what was your, what did you do first?
Identified that as the Jeep that was in question. I got behind the Jeep and then I activated my lights to affect the traffic stop.
Okay, and I might have already asked you this, but what sort of vehicle were you driving?
I was in a fully marked SUV.
Okay. And so first you then stated, you exited your lights, what happens next?
The driver of the Jeep took off at a high rate of speed, westbound down Chicago. Now, I'm not comfortable with the actual streets, but he did make a left turn, an abrupt left turn, headed southbound towards a school. Went down 2 blocks, made a right at a high rate of speed. He was going up curbs, went down probably several blocks, made another right-hand turn, and flipped a trash can and headed back northbound, still taking off at a high rate of speed. He eventually ended up at a dead end where he tried to make a left-hand turn, went up the curb, struck a rock, and his car ended up on the rock. He got up.
Okay, and so Lieutenant Barr, you said a lot there, but what was the speed limit through this neighborhood?
25.
Okay, and you said he took off at a high rate of speed. Do you know about how fast he was going?
Well over double. I couldn't tell you how fast though.
Okay. So actually he comes to this dead end and you said he hit a rock?
He was going so fast, he was unable to complete the turn. He went up the curb and then went across the city sidewalk and hit a large rock.
So after the car makes that jump into the rock, what happens next?
He bailed out on foot and ran northbound through the park. And we were able to, there was an officer on the north end of the park who, once he saw his presence there, he ended up.
What anybody else could see or
Sustained.
Just no speculation, Lieutenant, but so there was another officer, he said, the north end of the park?
Yes.
And where were you in relation to him at this time?
So I had pulled over onto Artesian and I drove up as far as I could and then I got out of my vehicle. And so I was then able to run through and get behind Mr. Harper.
Okay. And then so you're behind Mr. Harper.
Yes.
And then was there someone in front of him, you said?
Yes, there was an officer in front of him. And then once I saw that officer, I observed him lay down on the ground.
Okay. And then once he's on the ground, what do you do?
My partner and I were able to place him in the handcuffs.
Okay. Who was your partner on that day, Lieutenant?
Sergeant Jessica Huber.
Okay. And you said you took him into custody. Who's the him?
Mr. Harper.
Do you see Mr. Harper in the courtroom today?
I do.
Could you just identify where he's seated, sir, as well as an article of clothing that he's wearing?
He's wearing green with a white t-shirt. He's got a mask on and he's got glasses.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, may the record reflect identification of the defendant, Deontay Harper.
So noted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I believe I have no further questions. Thank you, Lieutenant.
You're also adjourned.
No questions.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Thank you.
Your Honor, finally, the people at this time would like to call Detective Lisa Johnson to the stand.
Swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Johnson, could you state your name for the record, please, ma'am?
Lisa Johnson,
Thank you. And where are you currently employed, Detective Johnson?
Detroit Police Department homicide,
For how long have you been with the homicide unit?
since 2017.
And did you take part in the investigation of this case?
Yes.
What were your duties with regards to this investigation?
Originally, I assisted the OIC that was in charge of the case, Sergeant Paul Brown. And I did some interrogations and some investigations.
And who did you do an interrogation of in this matter?
CR234.
Do you know how many times Mr. Harper spoke with the police on this case?
I'm not completely sure.
What day did you speak with Mr. Harper?
I have it. No memory yet.
No problem. When looking at you and your partner's report, refresh your memory.
Yes.
Showing Mr. Cripps the report. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Approaching with the same report.
May 18th, 2022.
Thank you. How did the discussion with Mr. Brown begin?
We would have given him his rights.
Okay, and did Mr. Brown, or excuse me, did Mr. Harper?
Judge, I have to object to that. If she gave him his rights, I have no objection. But she said we would have given him, sounds like she's referring to the usual routine.
Do you have any independent recollection as to what was done in this instance? If you or someone else gave his rights?
Yes, Sergeant Brown gave Mr. Harper his rights.
That was in your presence?
Yes.
Was anybody else present besides yourself, Sergeant Brown, and Mr. Harper?
No.
Once Mr. Harper was given his rights, did he indicate to you guys, either you or your partner, that he understood them?
Yes.
Okay, how did he do so?
He read over the form, he looked over the form, he signed the form, he initialed the sidebars and signed it.
Was that during this conversation with you or a different conversation?
This would be with Sergeant Brown and myself.
Are you sure that that was part of this conversation? I just want to make sure.
I'm not sure.
Okay, with looking at the report, refresh your memory.
Yes.
Okay. Approaching with that same report. Did that refresh your memory, Detective Johnson?
Yes.
Okay, with regards to your conversation with Detective Brown and Mr. Harper, how did the advice of rights go at this conversation?
We reinstituted the rights that were read the day before the key minute signed.
Well, I don't know if there's a foundation for the rights of rights.
How do you know his rights were read to him the day before?
He was advised of his rights during the first interrogation.
Were you part of that interrogation?
Yes.
During this conversation with you and Detective Brown, how did he acknowledge it, right?
Yes.
What were your observations of Mr. Harper's states at that during your conversation with him?
I'm sorry.
What were your observations of Mr. Harper's state during your conversation with him?
He seems to be willing to talk. He wanted to speak with us.
Were there any issues of comprehension?
No,
Okay. Were there, did you make any observations, to any intoxication?
no,
And, during the course of your conversation, was it, recorded?
yes.
How so?
There's cameras in the interrogation room.
Your Honor, I would, turn it over to Water and Voluntary now.
Good morning, Detective Johnson.
Good morning.
What day was it that you first came into contact with my client, Mr. Harper?
I believe it was May 21st.
May 21st? Okay, and where was it you first came into contact with him?
That would have been at headquarters.
That was for purpose of interrogation?
Yes,
And did you give my client his Miranda rights?
I did not, Sergeant Brown.
He was in custody, Mr. Harper was in custody at that time,
Yes,
and a suspect. And you heard your Officer Brown give the rights?
yes,
Did my client give a statement at that time?
yes.
And what happened after he gave the statement? What did you do with
He would have been taken to BBC.
it? And did you come into contact with him a second time?
Yes,
And what date was that?
that would be the 22nd at the BBC.
And why did you come into contact with him the second time on the 18th?
To speak with him regarding things.
Why did you hold him overnight?
That was not my choice. It was Detective Sergeant Brown. This was his case. He was the officer in charge.
All right, so you don't know why the interview was concluded the first time?
No, I don't recall.
You just concluded, is that correct? And you put him in jail.
I don't recall. It was Sergeant Brown's case. I was assistant.
But you just testified that you, at the conclusion of day one, yeah, Mr. Harper was held overnight.
Yes,
Is that correct?
yes,
Right. And then you came into contact with him on the second day, whatever date that was. And he was not, if I heard your testimony, advised of his rights on that second day.
no.
Okay. Judge, I don't know which statement is going to be introduced, but if it's the second statement. There's obviously, she's testified that my client was interviewed on 2 consecutive days.
Right.
If she's got the dates correct, the second date was May 22nd, the first date was May 21st. I would object to the admission of anything from May 22nd or the second statement, because he wasn't advised of his rights and he was in custody. He was advised on the day.
No, she just said that he was advised of his rights.
So I think
It was the day before.
I think there's some confusion, which I would like to clear up before we make the ruling. So Detective Johnson, first, are you sure as to the dates that you spoke to Mr.
Exactly. I haven't had a chance to review the file.
When looking at that report I gave you, refresh your memory, what day you spoke to him?
I apologize. Yes, this, May 18th.
Okay. And when was the first, or when was the other conversation that happened?
Of May 17th.
Okay, so the two, just so we're clear, the two conversations were May 17th, May 18th?
Yes,
Okay. And during the second conversation, you just indicated to Mr. Cripps that Mr. Harper was not advised of this Miranda warning. Is that correct?
yes,
Are you sure that as to those statements that you just made to the board?
if I can reflect on the report.
Would that help refresh your memory?
Mr. Harper was advised of his rights and agreed to speak with us. Form was not signed the second day because we established the rights the day prior.
Will you read from
This is the report here.
that's your report?
No, this is Sergeant Brown's report.
Again, Sergeant Brown is who you were partnering with during the back conversation. I'm asked to have report. And you're all right. I would turn it back over for voluntary death squad here again. Mr. Griffin.
Just so I understand it, so I guess what I'm asking about, on May 17, 2022, the first interrogation, you were interviewing an incarcerated suspect for this homicide by the name of Mr. Hart.
Correct.
And you, did you advise him of his rights, or did your partner advise him?
My partner.
All right, so you were well aware of the obligation to advise him Miranda rights if you heard your partner do that.
Correct.
The interview lasted how long?
I don't know. I don't know.
All you know is at the conclusion of the interview, Mr. Harper was not released, is that right?
Correct.
He was placed back into custody and spent the night at the Detroit Detention Center.
Correct.
And did you tell him anything at the conclusion of the interview as to what you're gonna do with him?
I did not.
Did you hear your partner?
I did not.
Okay. So then you're back at the DDC the next day on May 18th.
Correct.
To again interrogate Mr. Harper.
Correct.
And it's your sworn testimony under oath that on May 18th, he was not advised of his Miranda rights.
He understood his Miranda.
I didn't ask you that, ma'am, because you can't read his mind, right?
I'm sorry?
I didn't ask you about what he understood. What I was asking you, did you yourself personally advise my client on May 18th of his Miranda rights?
Personally, I did not.
Did you hear your partner on May 18th, the second interrogation day, advise my client of his full Miranda rights?
Yes.
I thought you testified earlier that he was not re-advised of his rights.
He was re-advised and understood that he did not sign a new form.
All right, so when you talk about form, you're talking about a Miranda rights form?
Correct.
That's used to make sure somebody understands their complete rights?
Correct, that he signed the day before.
I'm not asking the day before, I'm on day 2 now.
I understand?
Okay, so no Miranda rights form was used on the second day of interrogation.
No.
Nobody, either you or your partner, verbally advised Mr. Harper of his complete Miranda rights on day 2, is that correct?
My partner advised him, and he said he understood.
Or what'd your partner say exactly then?
You have to ask my partner.
Well, you sat there and you say you heard him say something, so I'm asking you what your partner said.
I don't recall.
All right, so you don't know if he gave us complete Miranda rights or not.
Complete Miranda rights.
That's what I'm asking.
He did not read the form to him.
All right, that's what I'm getting. All right, so the Miranda rights form was not read to him, is that correct?
Correct.
Judge, at this point, I would have to object to the day 2 interrogation be allowed into evidence because it wasn't advised of his Miranda rights. It was advised the day before, but I think there's a significant break in the vitality of Miranda rights because my client was locked up after the first day of interrogation, kept overnight in custody at the Detroit Detention Center. I think it's incumbent upon the police officers that want to interrogate him the second day to give him his Miranda rights.
Mr. Keough.
He was advised of his rights, but the form was not used. There's no requirement that the form be used again on the second subsequent day. Based on Detective Johnson's testimony, he was advised of his rights, but just not using the standard form. And I would indicate, Your Honor, as an offer of proof, that's what the video would show.
So my understanding is that the utilization of the form itself It's something that the police department uses. It's not a constitutional mandate that this form be used. Am I right about that? It's just something that evidences that the defendant was given his rights, something tangible to be seen, that he signed off or he initiated each and every right. And that was done apparently on the first day of interrogation. On the second day, my understanding is that he was re-advised, but the form itself was not used. Am I correct on that?
Correct.
Can I follow up on that?
Sure.
When you say he was readvised, are you saying that your Sergeant Brown said, do you remember your rights from yesterday? Did you still understand your rights? Is that what he said?
I don't know specifically, I have to look at the video.
So we have the video of this
Yeah.
second day. Why don't we take a look at the video?
For that purpose, just producing what was previously marked as proposed exhibit number 8. For the record, starting at the 26 second.
Can we go ahead and sit down for this one here? All right, so real quick, just want to bring you over here for a few follow-ups, okay? So yesterday, me and you talked for an extended period of time, but before we talked, I read you what is called your constitutional rights, all right? And, you know, even though it's another day, and I'm coming back to talk to you, I just want to ask you, do you still understand those rights? Remember I told you you had the right to remain silent. Anything that you say can't be used against you in the court of law. Mm-hmm. I had told you that you have a right to an attorney, and you have a right to have one present during or at the time of questioning. I also told you that if you couldn't afford one would be appointed for you. Remember those constitutional rights? Okay. Furthermore, I also told you that anytime you can express not to talk to me, okay? And that you weren't forced or promised anything. Remember those? All right, so you still understand those. So when I'm saying those things are still in play, okay? Because obviously you're still in our custody, okay? Let me ask you this.
For the record, stopping at the 2-minute 9-second mark. Good.
All right, well, we hear, I guess, the appropriate questions, but there's no response from what I can see from Mr. Harper at all to any of those questions that he understood as previously given Miranda rights the day before. Does he still understand them? Does he still want to make a statement? He's just sitting there stone-faced, not responding to that.
Yeah. First, the first question you can hear again, which would be an indication that he does at least acknowledge what he's hearing, and also there's some slight nodding, Judge. But again, he has to just be advised of his rights. He's been advised of the rights the day before. He's being re-advised of his rights again that second day, and he's, very stoic, but is showing some sign of understanding that he knows what's going on.
I think that's a great subject, a great deal of speculation and interpretation to make that argument. The fact that someone's sitting there, you're judging yourself since you're seeing it, but I don't see him making any affirmation at all, indicating that.
Let me say it again.
Sorry, from the 30 seconds to the record.
Can we go ahead and sit down for this one here. All right, so real quick, just want to bring you over here for a few follow-ups, okay? So yesterday, me and you talked for an extended period of time, but before we talked, I read you what is called your constitutional rights, all right? And, you know, even though it's another day, and I'm coming back to talk to you, I just want to ask you, do you still understand those rights? Remember I told you you had the right to remain silent. Anything that you say can't be used against you in the court of law. Mm-hmm. I had told you that you have a right to an attorney, and you have a right to have one present during or at the time of questioning. I also told you that if you couldn't afford one would be appointed for you. Remember those constitutional rights? Okay. Furthermore, I also told you that anytime you can express not to talk to me, okay, and that you weren't forced to promise anything. Remember those? All right. So you still understand those. So what I'm saying, those things are still in play, okay? Because obviously you're still in our custody, okay? Let me ask you this: do you? With that being said, you want to re-engage? Because there's some follow-up questions I think we need to talk about. Okay, is that okay with you? Okay, so
Okay, so the court had an opportunity to take a better look at the defendant's responses or reactions. He was asked, or he said, at which to me sounded like an affirmative yes at 1 minute and 32, which is on the people's exhibit. At 1:46, he nodded his head yes. At 1:59, he slightly nodded his head yes again. And then at 2:20, he nodded his head yes. So the court is going to make a finding that the statement was normally voluntarily given for purposes of this preliminary examination. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the people would move to admit the proposed exhibit number 8.
No objection, for example, Your Honor. Subject to that other objection.
All right, which is noted for the record.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. And then at this time, Your Honor, the record will be moving to the 56-minute, 36-second mark.
All right. And just for clarity of the record, I'm not sure if I said that right. The court makes a finding that the statement was normally voluntarily given. I'm not sure if I said that different.
Beginning, People's Exhibit 8 from that 56-minute, 36-second mark.
what happened when y'all got to that goddamn house?
Came in, tried to get her shit. Wife said, put it on the porch. So I put it on the porch. She barged in. She pushes me back, so I brushed up back where it was. They get to tussling. I get involved because a lot going on. Her dad run. Before I get involved, her dad comes in. Situation, he leaves. Like I said, my mom also pulls up with my daughter because my sister-in-law was with my mom at church. I had to go outside to let her know, stay with her for a few hours. Boom, okay. Go back in. At that time, she bloody and everything in the bathroom.
How did she get bloody? And let's not go with her daddy. How did Raya? When you went out to your mother's car, was Raya bloody then? Hence why you don't want your daughter coming in the house right now.
Yes.
Okay.
How did she get bloody?
Beat her up.
Who beat her up?
So I did.
All right, so you beat her up. What did you beat her up with?
My hands, my fist.
So you beat her and stomped her. What was Sierra doing?
I don't know, bro. Don't remember. Like,
You kind of blacked out.
me?
So you beat her up. But at first, you and Sierra was in all of everybody involved. You black out, you beat her up.
I come back when they said my mom's outside with the baby. Like I said, she gone.
Did Pops tell you your mom was outside?
I don't know who said mom was outside. I just heard my mom.
That oh shit moment. Let me get out of here.
Yeah. Make sure
Cause you don't want to bring your baby in the house.
Like I said, when I was leaving from my mom, he was walking down the driveway. I don't know how he came out the house, but I just know he was coming from down the driveway.
Okay.
And I went back into the side door.
All right. When you get back in the side door, now what?
She in the bathroom.
Okay. She in the bathroom with who?
Herself.
Okay. And that's the girl, Raya. All right. Where's Sierra at?
Cleaning the blood up.
Okay. So you go to the bathroom, now what?
Gotta figure out a way to do something with her body. So we get the rug and the rug upstairs, put on the rug.
When she's in the bathroom, is she sitting, kneeling, leaning?
She's leaning over the tub.
Okay. Okay.
Get the rug, put on the rug, drag her to the side door, put her in the trunk.
So when do the bag get put on her neck? Where did that come from?
Now, remember yesterday when I told you, I said, when I was looking at her, she was like gargling and jerking a little bit. I told him, hey, she's still like kind of breathing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He told me, finish the bitch.
Okay. That ain't how it happened, did it?
No, yes, bag around her neck. That was that.
All right, so where was he at? Because he walked down the driveway when you went back in. So when did he have an opportunity to tell you that? So we know he left.
Now wait, I ain't trying to lie. I ain't trying to fuzz nothing up. Let me just read back a step, so I know everything right. I'm not trying to get life, bro. Or miss. I'm not. Okay. He made a crawl to the bathroom. Boom. I'm trying to get this right, because my mom did pull up, and it was before he had left. And at that time, when he told me to finish her, she didn't pull up yet. That's why I'm trying to get everything together, get everything right. Go out to the bathroom. Boom. Because everything happened so fast.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was okay. I finished her because wait. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Take your time. Take your time. Take a deep breath.
I'm trying.
You're doing good.
But I didn't do anything else to it, but the bag would take around there. I'm just trying to get everything correct. So I'm not a monster at all, either. I'm not. Okay, yeah, he crawled to the bathroom. That's when my mom pulled up. He made her crawl to the bathroom. Boom. I go outside, let my mom let her know whoop. Come back in. Like, fuck, this shit is not making sense right now. I don't head over my head. Because it's all happened so damn fast. I'm not trying to bullshit nobody. I don't want to make nobody mad right now. I'm trying to get it right.
I understand.
Boom.
Did you hit her with anything other than your fist?
No, I don't own a gun or nothing like that. I didn't hit it.
Did at some point did he give you a gun and you hit it maybe with his gun, or do you remember?
No, I don't remember.
Okay.
Because I don't own a gun, so.
But you remember hitting her with your fist. Do you remember at what point you saw blood?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
So he tells her to crawl into the bathroom?
Yes.
Because she's leaking at this point.
Yes.
She crawls in there. Somebody says your mom's there. That's when you leave out.
Yes.
Okay. You come back. What happens when you come back? You come in the side door. He going out. He's at the walkway.
Yes. My mom.
Y'all cross each other.
Yeah, and I turned back around. He was coming down the driveway, and I was walking back up to the side door.
Okay. Do you remember him saying anything as he was leaving?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I remember that.
Okay. You go back in the house.
Trying to clean up the blood.
Okay.
You know what? Before I went outside to my mom, that's when I told him, hey, she's still gargling and everything. That's when he said, finish her. But I had to go outside to my mom. Did that. That's when I was coming back in. He was coming down the driveway.
Okay.
And I had to run back in there and put the bag around her neck. That's the part I was trying to understand in my head because it didn't make sense, but it made sense this thing.
And guess what? That makes more sense. Because that's kind of how it looks.
On the video, we see a car pull up. We like, well, who is that? We see him leaving out, and you.
Yeah, and you see why I kept stopping. Like, wait a minute, no, because I wanted to get it right. So, because I don't.
This is a traumatic thing.
If y'all can help me not get life.
So we don't determine that. We give the facts and everything that we find in the investigation. I'm gonna ask you this though. What was your intention? What was your intention when you hit her?
Just to stop everything. I wasn't trying to hurt her.
When you hit her, was Sierra injured at all? With them two fighting?
She had blood in her mouth.
Sierra did? Okay.
About the only reason why I probably did. She had blood in her mouth.
So they was tussling pretty good.
So it wasn't just this trying to block the door thing. They actually fight.
No. When I first tried to get her stuff out, it was kind of touching. And after that, I didn't see no blows get thrown, but hell, they probably did. It was touching kind of fast. All I know, I seen blood in my wife's mouth.
The shit escalated.
Yes, so it wasn't.
So, and that's why I'm saying the sequence means everything. It was Rhea, Sierra, blocking the door, pushing each other back and forth. At some point, it turned into a fight.
Between them two?
Between those two. is right there throwing punches too?
She was.
So them two they like this, right?
Was, yeah.
At what point do she get dropped? Is that when you join in, she get dropped?
I hit her and she fell.
Okay. So not the reason that's important, because that's what I'm saying. Her phone was still on for a short period of time.
Did y'all cut her phone off?
I never seen her phone.
Okay.
Where did her phone go?
Shit, I don't even know.
Cause it was on for a minute.
I don't even know what the fuck her phone went to for real. Cause I wasn't even thinking about her phone.
Did y'all take anything from her?
I didn't take shit from her.
Okay. Did Sierra grab anything from her that you know of?
Not that I know of.
What about Pops?
Not that I know of.
Okay. So she drops, and after she dropped, I'm sure she got a little bit more ass whooping. Is that when Pops come in now?
Pops came in.
Now what happened?
That's when
you tell her crawl to the basement. Crawl to the bathroom.
Did he say anything when he came in? Like, what the, he walked in on some shit happening. What did he say? If you can remember.
It looked like he kind of shocked.
Who?
Pops.
Just like, what the fuck going on?
But then it's the heat of the moment. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
It's just the heat of the moment. Like, if he did, I don't remember.
Okay.
At that
but
moment.
He was initially like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck going on?
Yeah.
Or is it yelling, screaming going on?
More of a calm yelling, like, I don't know.
Okay. So initially it was a cat fight at first. Okay. So he tells her to crawl to the garage. To the bathroom, and then
he come in.
She said, "Your mom outside."
He leaves.
What door do you go out of to see your mom? And although we know this, I gotta ask you.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, because I believe I left the side door.
Okay. Now you go down and see Miles. Tell her, hey, can you keep baby for a little bit more hours?
And I'll go back up the driveway. He coming out.
Definitely don't want baby to come in there and see that shit.
No.
Okay.
He coming out. I'm going back up the driveway to the side door. Like I said, when he came, I don't know if he came up the front side or the back window or some shit. I don't know. I did see him walking on the driveway.
Okay. Do you see? Well, I know Sierra and Ray Ray was fighting with their fists and all this other shit. But at any point, do you see Sierra with a weapon?
Not that I know of.
Whether it was a gun, stick, whatever. You see her with any type of weapon? Broom handle? Okay. When you come back into the house, she already cleaning up, you said. Go to the bathroom, check on the girl.
I remember before I left out, he told me to finish
the job.
But I had to go check on my mom and let her know.
What state was she in when you get into the bathroom?
It's like she was gargling or something.
Okay. Is she conscious or is she unconscious gargling?
I think she was unconscious gargling.
Okay. So she just leaned over the bathtub. Okay.
Go ahead.
After that, y'all put her in the rug. You don't see her, take her, dump her in the car. Y'all roll out. Do y'all know where y'all going at that time, or y'all just riding trying to look for the perfect place?
Just riding for the place.
Okay. All right. So y'all really didn't know the area. Okay.
Man, after this, can y'all please?
You're stopping at the 1 hour, 13 minutes, 7-second mark. Just a few more questions for you, Detective Johnson. There was a lot of discussion about the house that this took place at. Did you make the scene of this incident?
No,
Okay. Do you know what street this occurred on?
Judge, she didn't go to the scene, she went over the street.
Well, Detective Johnson, you reviewed the surveillance video as part of this case, right?
surveillance video,
Yes, ma'am.
I believe I did.
Detective Johnson, you recall on the video that we just played that you and Officer Brown were asking questions about the video, at the location, is that fair?
Correct.
You recall where that video came
It was a ring camera, I believe.
from what kind of building?
I believe it's a house.
Do you know what street that house was on?
I can't,
Yeah. What city was it?
Detroit.
Did you? Lastly, I don't think I've asked you this yet. Who did you interview that day?
On this particular day, Mr. Harper.
Okay. And do you see Mr. Harper in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Could you just identify where he's seated in the article of clothing there for you?
You see, to the right, green, chocolate, white t-shirt, glasses.
I believe I have no further questions at this time. Thank you.
No question. All right, thank you. You can step down.
Your Honor, I believe I have no further witnesses at this time.
Defense is not calling any witnesses at these times.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. First, Your Honor, you heard from Officer Perkins Officer Gray, not Officer Perkins, who described the scene that she was called to on May 15th, 2022. You have the photographs before you. She originally goes to a location with an abandoned looking rundown home. Behind there off to the right, she said, was where the vehicle, the Ford Fusion that was found with Ms. Lee's body, torched in the front with, as she described, marks coming from the front of the vehicle towards the back on the right. And then the vehicle, as described in the pictures, but also by Officer Gray, that Ms. Lee was in the trunk with a bag around her neck, rolled up, and I believe she called it a rug. Then you also heard from both Officer Perkins and Lieutenant Barr that described the chase of Mr. Harper 2 days later when there was a call by the fugitive apprehension team to collect Mr. Harper. I think the fleeing and eluding in that aspect, Judge, was pretty well established. There was sirens by Lieutenant Barr as he was chasing Mr. Harper's vehicle through the neighborhood in a 25-mile-per-hour zone, or at some point, Lieutenant Barr estimated that the speed was at least double the posted speed limit. He said the vehicle lost control of the car, skidded, hit a rock, and came to a stop there where Mr. Harper got out the vehicle and was chased before being surrendered himself to officers. The real question for this court, Your Honor, is going to be and also, I should say, the Exhibit 3, Your Honor, is established that the approximate value of the Ford Fusion in this case was about between $17,000 and $19,000. I think Exhibit 3 says $18,000 change on it, Judge. But going to the first-degree murder count, Mr. Harper, in his own words, kind of describes this as a fight between his girlfriend, Sierra McGilmer, and the victim, Soraya Lee. At first, that might sound like this is some sort of lesser offense, but it isn't, because when Mr. Harper then inserts himself into the situation, he hits her so hard that he's knocked her to the ground. We know she's bleeding. She goes over into the bathroom, and as described, she was over the bathtub, just bleeding into it. Mr. Harper at some point is told that his mother is out to the driveway, either as he's walking out to meet his mother, or as he's coming back from meeting his mother, he claims he's told to finish her, to finish Miss Lee. It's at this point, Your Honor, and Mr. Harper has a decision. As he's walking into the house, it's clear this fight's over. Miss Lee, in his own words, is sitting there bleeding. He's not sure if she's conscious or not. But he takes it upon himself to take a plastic bag and put it over her head and finish her, as his words say. But that's not enough, because then we know he puts her in a rug, puts her in a trunk, they drive to the east side, just looking for a place to dump her. And then they light the car on fire, making sure that this, or attempting to make sure that this doesn't come back. So, Your Honor, I think the facts establish, based on a probable cause standard, that this was premeditated. Maybe there's a question at first when there's this cat fight, as it was described, I believe, by Sergeant Brown, between Ms. McGilmer and Ms. Lee, that they're exchanging fists or something like that. And as soon as Mr. Harper is told to finish the job, he has all this time where Ms. Lee is clearly not a threat. She's not attacking Ms. McGilmer. She's in the bathroom where she was told to go. And Mr. Harper goes in there without a second thought, just goes in there and finishes the job. His own word. He's got time to think about this. He's got time to just leave. But instead, they start cleaning up blood, wrapping up Miss Lee to make sure this doesn't come back. So for all those reasons, Your Honor, I ask that you bind over Mr. Harper as he's charged in the complaint warrant for counts 1 through 4. Thank you, Your Honor.
Chris.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defense would object to a bind over as the current charges stand. A lot of this is going to be your interpretation of exhibit number 8 as to what the interrogation, as to what you heard. However, we don't believe that two things have been established. First of all, that in fact Mr. Harper took the life of Ms. Lee in this case. I don't think that's been shown. I agree with Mr. Keeble argued that there was an initial fight going on between Sierra and Ms. Lee, according to what Mr. Harper said. And there were some kids going back and forth, but when you have a situation that there's fighting going on and multiple people involved with no showing as to why the fight was occurring or any reasons why my client, whatever, wants someone else to be dead, without that showing, I don't believe there's any showing of premeditation deliberation. Because he somehow gets himself involved in something that started by somebody else in terms of fists. It wasn't a weapon that was used by Mr. Harper. He was asked about that, and he said, no, there was no weapon involved. I don't see how that arises to premeditation and deliberation. That there was any plan or thoughts beforehand, before this emotional fight occurred, that there was any premeditation on the part of Mr. Harper. So we don't believe that charge has been established. Also, there has to be showing that, in fact, he caused the death. And that, as I remember the autopsy report, it said she died from strangulation. I don't believe it was established through anything that he said that he did any strangling of Miss Lee in this case. So, the fact that he's walking by someone else and they say finish the job, or we don't. I think that's ambiguous, and we don't know what he did in relation to hearing that. in this case. I heard, Mr. Keefe argue to you about a bag over the head. I leave that to your interpretation. I'm not sure I heard that specifically said by Mr. Harper. The problem with these kind of videos is we've got Sergeant Brown and Detective Johnson saying a lot of things in their own summaries, but that doesn't mean that Mr. Harper agrees or said that himself. So I didn't hear about him saying that he strangles her. I didn't hear him say that he actually put the bag over her head. I didn't hear him say that he rolled her up in a rug. I heard reference to a rug. And I didn't hear him say at all that he set any fire or had anything to do with any fire. So the defense position is there's insufficient evidence for count one, premeditated murder, insufficient evidence as to count two, fourth degree arson, and insufficient evidence as to tampering with evidence. We ask you to dismiss those three charges. Thank you.
Mr. Kehoe, as relates to the arson. What evidence do you have against this defendant that who did anything?
All right, he states in his statement pretty clearly that they're looking for a place to dump the car, and then there's then a call that same day that the car is now on fire. It's not a very big leap to know that Mr. Harper lit this car on fire, and it's in the.
How do I know that Mr. Harper did it as opposed to someone else?
Because, Your Honor, he specifically says that it's his intent to get rid of this car that's containing the body of Mr. Riley. This isn't some fortuitous car burning, Judge.
So getting rid of the car to you equates to.
It's not just the car, Judge. It's not just the car because it also has Miss Lee's body in the trunk. If it was just the car likely isn't part of the ongoing commission of the crime, Judge. But as soon as they put Miss Lee's body into it, they're moving the body, they're tampering with the evidence, and then they light the car on fire.
Tampering with evidence, I get that. I'm talking about the arson of the vehicle. You say because he's looking to dump the car, he must have burned the vehicle. That's what you're saying, right?
That's what the audio is, Judge.
All right. So the court heard from a number of witnesses, Officer Gray, Perkins, and Barr, and Johnson. I think the most damaging witness to the defense is the defendant's statement himself, who acknowledges that he himself interjects himself into a one-on-one fight. That he hits her, he knocks her to the floor. Another gentleman comes in, pops it, tells her to call to the bathroom. She's bleeding over the bathroom tub. The thing that keeps sticking out in my mind is what the defendant said about finishing her. That someone told him to finish her. And then in his own words, he says, finished. So for someone to say to him to finish her gives an indication that she's still alive. She hasn't been finished. And then for him, out of his own mouth, to say he finished her, to this court indicates that he killed her. He finished the job. I don't have any reservation whatsoever that people have met their burden of probable cause as relates to count one, first degree murder premeditated, or the tampering with evidence, criminal case punishable by 1 to 10 years, or the police officer fleeing third degree vehicle. I think the harder sell is the arson, although I think logical inferences can be made that was natural sequence of events here, that he finished her, so to speak. He puts a bag over her head, puts her in the trunk of the car, takes her to this isolated location, and the car is set on fire. I'm trying to decide whether or not I've heard any evidence that this defendant took part in the arson, or he at least aided and abetted in the commission of the arson. Body being found in the trunk of the vehicle, bag over her head. And he acknowledges that they have to ditch the vehicle, they have to get rid of the vehicle. Suppose a rational trier of fact could find that part of getting rid of the vehicle is burning the vehicle up. So for that reason, the court is going to find that people have met their burden of probable cause as it relates to all the charges of technical complaint. The arson was a bit of a stretch, but I think the people have met their burden of probable cause. Court finding those charges were committed in the city of Detroit. Court finding probable cause to believe this defendant committed the violent defendant over to Wayne County Third Circuit Court of Criminal Division for proceedings. His arraignment on the information date and time will be March 23rd, 2023 at 9:00 a.m. Then will be remanded to the President of Wayne County.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have the autopsy report?
I have several copies, Judge. I think you still have it. It's not a okay. Personal, I don't know about that. First request you asked. Okay.
Hi, John.
Well, now, take care now.
Excuse me, guys. Thanks, man. That's just, you like to hold those witness cameras with that door.
I know we gotta do something about that.
They can't escape from this door, so they're stuck in there.
I've seen some officers try to have to use some extra force to get that door open.
Kick it open.
How y'all doing this morning, y'all? Madam
Good,
Clerk.
how about yourself?
All right, all right. Oh, they got it. Take it on the way down. Yep. I don't know where we go. Okay, so we'll see you in the locker room on Sunday. How's that?
No, need one for white too.
I'll take a minute. You already turned it up,
Yeah.
so let me have your blue bag. And what's detention,
54341.
3,
14. Okay, y'all have a good one. See y'all tomorrow.
All right, you too.
All right.